Om Gananam tva Ganapatim Havamahe Kavin Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Ana Shrunvannotibhis Siddhasadanam Om Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhinama Vitriyavatu Vagdevyai Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Okay, we are starting from Shloka 76 in Lalita Sahasranamam. So this, I think I mentioned this last week as well. In 76th Shloka, this is the essence of the 13th chapter in Gita called Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogam. You will see all of these Kshetra namas. So if you want to do the breakdown of the namas individually, the first line would have 3 namas: Kshetra Swarupa, Kshetresi, Kshetra Kshetrajna Palini. Those are the 3 namas. And then in the second line, there are 2 namas. Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta is one nama. Kshetrapala Samarchita is the other nama. Okay, so we'll first chant the shloka. Kshetra. So there are 2 different ways to see this particular matrika or aksharam. Ksha is a combination of ka and sha, not the sa, not the sha, but the sha. So ksha is in the aksharamala, but in some of the calculations it is taken as a unique matra by itself, or in sometimes it is not, just because it is a combination of 2 already existing previous matrikas. So, and ksha is also has lots of other deeper dimensional meanings to it. So we may or may not be able to go into, but we will chant this carefully, and therefore ksha, the pronunciation of that takes a little longer in terms of matras compared to something like, for example, pa, or la, or any other alphabet that is just unique on its own without a combination. It's not a samyuktaksharam is what we call it, right? So kshetra swarupa kshetresi, so there is a little extra emphasis whenever you're saying ksha. So just notice that throughout this shloka. So we'll chant the shloka, and there, I don't want to go into any, I think there are not many nuances. Maybe Kshaya Vriddhi, the first the is the regular the, and the uttudha is the emphatic, the Mahaprana dha. Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta. So just notice the extra emphasis that you need to put on that word. Okay, we'll chant this. Who would like to chant with me?
I will try, Guru.
Go ahead. Okay, Kalpana ji. Kshetra Swarupa Kshetresi Kshetra Kshetrajnapalini.
Kshetra Swarupa Kshetresi Kshetra Kshetragnapalini.
Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta Kshetrapala Samarchita.
Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta Kshetrapala Samarchita.
Would you like to do the full shloka?
Sure. Kshetra Swarupa Kshetreshi Kshetra Kshetragnapalini. Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta Kshetrapala Samarchita.
So let's go into the meanings. The first thing we need to understand is, what is this kshetram? Okay, so, and thankfully, in order to resolve the questions we have in our mind, Arjuna has asked a lot of these questions, and Bhagavan has provided beautiful answers for those. So in the 13th chapter, and this is a nuance in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 has Arjuna Uvacha as the first shloka. In some of the text that isn't there, in some of the later text that is available. So either you will have 699 shlokas in Bhagavad Gita in some versions of Mahabharatam, or you will have 700 shlokas, because this is the unique shloka that Arjuna asked the question as Bhagavan is going into the answers for this Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga. So the way Bhagavan explains Kshetra, the word Kshetra is Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetra Ityuchyate or Ityabhidiyate. I'm trying to recollect. I think Ityabhidiyate maybe fits more into the Anushtup Chandas. So this Sharira, this body is called as the Kshetram. Okay, from there it is easy for us to decipher what Kshetra Swarupa. So mother who has taken forms as these bodies. Now from there you can continue to just note, there is so much that you can just sit and meditate on these and just go into the deeper meanings. First, she is the Chit Shakti, and she has taken the forms of these bodies or forms of the matter, and she not only is spread in the entire universe, she is all pervasive, but she's also the matter and the things that are removable, immovable, like we were just talking about in the Vishnu Sahasranamam class. She is the Swarupam of Kshetra. So that's why when we say Namaste or Namaskara or Namo Namaha, what we are saying, we are bowing or saying Namaha to the Mother Swarupam or Bhagavan Swarupam, who has taken the forms of our bodies. That's one way to look at it. When we think about, oh, I'm so adhyatmikam, like, I'm in my grihastha ashrama, I don't have time to take care of my body, and this is not very important to me, and I'm only focused on spiritual path, or I'm only focused so much on my professional path. And many of you would know that I always say, like, take care of yourselves. So this body is what we consider as the vahanam, the one that is actually is the transportation mechanism for us to move from the time we are born, and we don't know how many more, like, hundreds of thousands of janmas we would have had in the past and have been bestowed this amazing body called as a human body, and how we take care of it. So this can help us get through this will get us through to this will help us swim through the samsara sagara and bring us to Bhagavan. So Kshetra Swarupam, one is we see her, she's the Swarupam of all of the body. The body itself is Kshetra, and she is the Swarupam of that. And in everybody that we see Mother. And we also take care of our body as if we are doing upacharas for the mother herself, because this is nothing but her Swarupam. So Kshetra Swarupa, let me see if there is any other meanings that were given. Yeah, her body is matter. So she is the Prakriti, she is the Paramatma Shakti herself. So she is both the Chit Shakti or the Parashakti, and also is so approachable to us that she is in the form of the body. So if you remember the way back, like when we were talking about Lalita Sahasranamam being so many different dimensions, including the mantra vaibhava, the swarupa vaibhavam, the nirguna vaibhavam, the yantra vaibhava, the tantra vaibhava. We talked about a lot of those things, and I also mentioned, I think in the Khadgamala classes maybe, that the Sri Chakram is nothing but our own body. So there is a yantra, there is a mother's vigraham, there is our own body where she resides, and the entire universe that we see, all of this is nothing but mother's form. So Kshetra Swarupa is a very important nama in that sense. So Kshetra, the second meaning that is taken from Linga Puranam, is Kama Rupa and the abodes of the 36 categories from earth to Shiva. If anybody remembers, that is 36 tattvas, Shatrimshat tattvas that we have previously talked about. She has taken, she is the only Parashakti is the only form that transfers or transcends all the 36 tattvas. So when we talk about Shiva Tattvam, for example, when I say Shiva Tattvam, it could be Vishnu Tattvam, so don't do the distinction there. When we talk about Paramatman, he does not get into the other tattvas, the Prithvi Tattvam, for example. But mother is one that pervades from all the way from the Prithvi Tattvam all the way to the Shiva Tattvam. All the 36 tattvas are pervaded by her. And that is from Linga Purana. Okay. Devi, the wife of the destroyer of the 3 cities, because becomes Kshetra, the matters. The divine and eternal Lord, the death of the death, is also known as the knower of the bodies. So we'll go into those a little in detail. But she, because we also said, like, no, the Kshetrapala, we will go into Kshetrapala, that's coming soon. So she is the wife of Shiva, therefore she is Kshetra Swarupa. Then Kshetreshi. So Ishvara, the word Isha means Lord. So Kshetreshi means Kshetra plus Ishi, is which is the feminine version of the Lord. So she is the one that is the ruler of the Kshetra as well. Though she has taken the form of the body, or this Puram that we are living in, but she is also has the overlordship, or she is the lord of that Kshetram. So therefore she is Kshetreshi. Then Kshetra Kshetrajna Palini. So there are 2 words here. There is Kshetra and Kshetrajna, and she is the Palini. She is the protector. Pa means protect, right? We've talked about that previously. She is the one who protects both the Kshetram and the Kshetrajna. And in the same 13th shloka, 13th chapter, second shloka, in most popular versions of Gita, or if you're reading the one that does not have Arjuna Vacha, it would be the first shloka. Bhagavan also gives the somebody's video is on and you're not on cam, and we are recording, just wanted to let you know. So Kshetrajna, and Bhagavan, the way he explains it is somebody who knows the field. So he says somebody who knows this body, or Kshetra is the field, and knower of the field is called as Kshetrajna. So she is the one who protects Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And you also have to interpret that she is also the Kshetrajna, right? She is taken the Swarupam of the body. She is the lord of the body, and she is the knower of this body, that she has the complete knowledge of this body with all its tattvas and everything. And therefore she is the Kshetram, she is the Kshetreshi, she is the Kshetrajna, and she is also the Palini, the protector of all of these. Therefore, the first line is very deep in meaning. It requires actually you to meditate on what actually this means. So I'll just would encourage you to spend 10-15 minutes in meditation, just thinking about what this particular slokam is saying. The next one is Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta. So Kshayam and Vriddhi. So Kshayam means Kshin in Chuta is like the word that we use in Telugu, something that is getting reduced, decreased. And Vriddhi is something that is growing. So neither she is growing or she is reducing or decreasing, because she is stable in that way. And we've talked about this in the past on, like, not having the 6 vikaras that a living being or like anything that matter has is not applicable to mother. She does not have a start and an end. She does not have growth. She does not have destruction. She does not have decline in age. So she is always Kshaya Vriddhi Vinirmukta. In many of the dhyana shlokas for the mother, we always say she is the forever, forever 16. Shodashi. So if you read any of the dhyana shlokas, just try to look for the word Shodasha Varshi or Shodasha Varshiki. So there are so many words that are used. So she is forever 16 is how we depict that in a Saguna form. So she is somebody who is devoid of Kshaya and Vriddhi. Or they just gave 2 of the examples, but there are 6 vikaras and none of the 6 vikaras apply to her. And anytime when we talk about this, she's also somebody who can bestow that attribute on us. So she can make us also, she can give us the moksha, and in that stage, there is no kshayam or vriddhi. So she is somebody who can give us that. Then the next nama is Kshetrapala Samarchita. There's a lot of explanation here. Yeah, so Kshetrapala Samarchita. So Kshetrapala, so if anybody has been to Kashi, would have visited the Kshetrapala Devalayam there. And maybe I should just tell you the background of Kshetrapala. So in the Kali Avataram, so which was created by Shiva himself, after the killing of the Danava, I think Daruka is the Danava that Kali has killed. And after that, she was so angry, and she is has this fire of her wrath, cannot be pleased, and she's not getting to the Shanti Swarupam that mother is normally in. So the entire world of, obviously, if mother is so angry and is in that fire of anger, then the entire world will be destructed. So what happens? And Shiva, in order to dispel her anger, assumed the form of a crying infant. And they say, because any mother's swabhavam is that no matter whatever emotion you might be going through, but if the baby is crying, then the mother just takes the form of her motherhood comes up. So she suckled she gave milk to the baby, and when the Kshetrapala is that baby, and he suckles not just the milk but also the anger and the fire from Kali, bringing her to her normal weight. So this is in the Linga Purana. So Kshetrapala is somebody who is that little child, and that's one nama, one meaning, Kshetrapala Samarchita. So even Kshetrapala is doing Archana for mother, is how you can take it. Or Kshetrapala Samarchita, anybody who is being who's protecting the Kshetram is also doing Archana to her. And that includes us devotees who are Kshetrapalas for our own bodies, and we are doing Archana to the mother. So therefore Kshetrapala Samarchita. Everything okay so far? Any questions before we move to the next one?
Viji, I have a couple of questions. So what does Vinirmukta means? You said what Kshaya and Vriddhi means. What does Vinirmukta means?
Nirmukta itself means actually somebody who completely destroys, does not have it. She is devoid of, or
Okay.
she removes.
Okay.
So
And then
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. And so what you asked us to meditate on like she's the body, she's the knower of the body, and she's the protector of the body. And did I miss a fourth one, or those only
she's the overlord, Kshetreshi.
Overlord.
She's the Isha of the.
Also, what are the three cities you're talking about that Shiva destroyed? She's the.
So the Triputi that we talk about, Tripura.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to the 77th shloka. Vijaya, Vimala, Vandya, Vandaru Janavatsala is one nama. So 4 namas in the first line. Vagvadini, Vamakeshi, Vanhimandala Vasini. I would have mentioned this in the chanting classes last year. So most of us are used to saying Vahni Mandala because that's how it's written. And unfortunately in English, that's how we do Brahma. But we say Brahma, but we write Brahma. And, if, for example, Subramanya. So it is Subrahmanya, not Subramanya, whatever. The ha doesn't come after. Similarly, this is one of those words. Vahni is what it is written as if you're reading it in English, but it should be pronounced as Vanhi. Okay, so Vanhi Mandala Vasini, and that Mandala, because of Tattadadhar na, so the na should be pronounced. It is not the na. It is not Mandala. It is Mandala. Okay. So let's chant this shloka. I don't see any major nuances. It looks very straightforward. Who would like to chant this shloka?
Guruji, I can do it.
Okay. Anitaji, I'll come to the third shloka with you. Vijaya Vimala Vandya Vandaru Vatsala.
Vijaya Vimala Vandya Vandaru Vatsala.
Vagvadini Vamakeshi Vanhi Mandala Vasini.
Vagvadini Vamakeshi Vanni Mandala Vasini.
Awesome. Would you like to do the full shloka?
Yeah. Vijaya Vimala Vandya Vandaru Janavatsala Vagvadini Vamakeshi Vanni Mandala Vasini.
Awesome. So we'll look at those namas. Vijaya, a very nice nama. And we all know what that means. She's the Aparajita is the other synonymous nama for this. And there is the Aparajita Vidya, for that kings used to do when they were going for battles. And even in our days, like, if you think about you're attending an interview, this is one nama that could help you. You're chanting and doing the mantra for this. Om Vijaya Yai Namaha, because it's a feminine gender. That's how you would do it as the mantra japam. So Vijaya is Aparajita Vidya. And there are so many different meanings that are given for it. Primary one is this Vijaya, and there are Vijaya has a different, the Bijakshara mantras and whatnot, which I cannot go into. But we will go into the next different meaning, which is interesting actually, and I don't know the full list memorized, but in we'll also talk about one more. In Vishwakarma Shastras, apparently, there are two namas that are coming right side by side, Vijaya and Vimala. So in Vishwakarma Shastra, in building code that was provided by Vishwakarma, it is currently still used in constructing temples. Houses are kind of categorized into many different categories, something like 16,000 categories, and some is like 64 categories, but there is a 16 category version as well, based on what the housing code is, and each house has a different nama for it based on what it actually bestows. So each home comes with a different attribute. So I don't know if you actually lived in multiple houses, and each house seems a little different and has its own character. So based on that character, so in this Vishwakarma Shastram, there are 16 different namas that are given, or different categories that are given for houses. So I'll just read those, and you will see this Vijaya and Vimala in that list. So Dhruva, Dhanya, Jaya, Kanta, Vipula, Vijaya, Sumukha, Vimala, Nanda, Nidhana, and Manorama. So if you know the meanings of these, or I can help you with what each of these mean after in the forum, so you can figure out what character your house has and how you align to it. Our Shastram, it has been so given us the opportunity to understand not just who we live with and who we get married with, but it also tells us where are we living. It is so profound that whether it is the trees, even before you do your dhanta dhavanam, in the brushing in the morning, when you break the neem twig in those days and using that for brushing, there was a mantra for it. And actually you're asking the permission from the tree to break the twig, and the purpose, and you will actually state your purpose on why you're breaking that twig and what you're expecting. It also asks for, may I get Yashas and Tejas from doing this, from this neem twig that I'm borrowing from you. And so there is everything is very respectful and inclusive, not just we are talking about diversity inclusion nowadays, but we were inclusive of not just other races and ethnicities, but to the plants, the trees, the animals, everything that surrounds us. So even the house apparently has all of these characters, and what Vishwakarma Shastram talks about is the kind of house you're building. You can actually build it to the code that is going to be suitable to your personal attributes or your personal liking. Or if you move into a house with the character that it has, how do you align yourself so you can have a better living and a peaceful living? And everything again, it always talks about moksha is the final goal, right? It just takes you to not just artha kama, but dharma and moksha is what your house leads you to, because you spend most of your time in the house. So there's a lot of detail that has been provided. What I will do, just for our interest and curiosity, I'll give you the 16 namas in the forum and give you the English meanings of each of these, so you can just do a bit of study on your own house. and how you align yourself. We are not asking the house to align to our liking, but we will align ourselves to the house's character and attributes.
Guruji, sorry, just a curious thing. Like, so the temples also are the same way it's constructed?
It's constructed with the mothers, like, whatever temple is being constructed, Agama Shastras, there's a lot of code. And I mentioned this in the past. I was actually, Haranaya from the Rochester temple is an architect, and he has studied a lot of these Agamas and Shastras and, like, building codes for temples and things like that. And I've attended one of his sessions in Rochester at some point, and I was so fascinated kind of detail that, that was provided there. Yes, temples have a different level of shastram that is used, and houses and what we build, again, like, where Bhagavan lives and resides with us, because all houses belong to Bhagavan and we are just renting the place. That's how we should be looking at it. It's not like, I have a temple or I have a little mandiram in my house, is how we generally think. It should be the other way around. It is a different code. Yes, there is.
Because each temple, when we go, we get like a different feeling. Like, yeah. That's why I was thinking when you're telling about houses, like, is it applicable even to the temples?
Exactly.
Thank you.
And how I think even in the past I mentioned, like, how the Vigraha Sthapana gets done. And I think even when the Guruvayurappan temple opened, and there was a lot of information that was provided on Vigraham. And when we bring the Vigraham and we do the Sthapana of that Vigraham and Prana Pratishta, layers at the bottom are added to build the platform. And in that, there are, I think, 7 or 8 layers that they build with, like, various the precious stones and yantras that get established, and on top of it the Vigraham is established, and then the Prana Pratishtha is done. So the energy that we are inputting with all the pujas and all the chanting that we do in the temple does not just go into the air, but actually gets, stayed, like, lives in that Vigraham, and we are making that Vigraham powerful. And I think Satiji also distributed a particular video, though somebody was complaining about the language in it. I was more focused on the subject and was quite fascinated with it, on temples and Vigrahams. If anybody wants to revive that, it should be in our media folder in the forum. So it's quite fascinating on how deep and profound things are in our Shastras. Our understanding is like not even a speck of dust in what's available as knowledge.
Sriji, just to add on to what you're saying, on the temple website, guruvayur.ca/religious discourses, there are a lot of speeches done on the uniqueness of the temple construction, the Tantra Shastram and the Agama Shastram. So anyone who's interested, they can go there. There's lots of videos and materials of previously recorded sessions.
Thank you, Mahoday. I actually wanted to mention that, but I didn't remember if that was still available or did that page go down. So thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. Somebody said that, and there was a good comment. So we archived everything. Yeah. It's all uploaded.
Very nice.
So www.guruvayur.ca/religious discourses. You will see around 80 or 90 of them. And there's quite a lot of them on temple construction and all the shastrams you're talking about now.
Yeah, fantastic. And a great resource. I particularly have listened to quite a few, and Tirumeniji has done some of those core discourses as well. So it's very fascinating if anybody is interested in understanding, like, temple, and your home should be a temple, your body is a temple. So it's just not, when you're talking about temple construction, it is not an irrelevant subject for us because we are not constructing one. It is very, very relevant to today and in our daily practice. So please do find some additional material to read about it. Okay, so moving to the next nama, Vimala. So we just talked about, the second meaning of this Vimala nama is again from Vishwakarma Shastram. It is one of a kind of a house. But the actual meaning is the one who is devoid of all impurities. No mala is called as Vimala. And malam, as we know, belongs to avidya. It represents darkness. And if anybody remembers the 3 kinds of malas we originally talked about, anybody remembers it? Those 3, Anava malam, Mayika malam, and Karmika malam. So she is devoid of all of those malas. If you have notes from the previous ones, just go through what those 3 mean. It's interesting, and we actually do achamanam. So when we talk about any nyasam or purification methodologies, there are multiple ways to purify ourselves before we actually conduct any puja or rituals. We do achamanam before starting any puja, and that achamanam we are asked to take 3 sips of water. And one of the interpretations is each sip belongs to one level of malam. So we are asking for the Anava Mala, the Mayika Mala, and Karmika Mala to be purified. So may my body be purified from each of these malas and all the other malas if there is anything else remaining. And we purify, and then we do pranayama, so we can actually control and concentrate our mind. Then we do the dhyanam, then we do the sankalpam. So there is a beautiful, nice sequence of processes. So Vimala means one who is devoid of all the kinds of malas. The next nama, Bhaskararaya provides only a single meaning for it, but this is a very important nama, Vandya. And note that this is not Vandya, which is very different. So Vandya is somebody who is worshipped, or what Bhaskararaya provides as adorable. I will at a later point, this is one of those, Neela Chikura kind of word, Bhavaniji, remind me. I will come back to you with a little more explanation on what I can share about Vandya separately. I'll write that down. It's a very important nama. Next nama is Vandaru Janavatsala. So who are the Vandaru Janas? Those who are doing the Vandanam. So Vandya is somebody who is getting worshipped or getting the Vandanam. And Vandaru Janas are the ones who are doing the Vandanam to the mother. So Vandaru Jana Vatsala. Vatsala means one who is fond of or has the Vatsalyam towards the Vandaru Janas. So fond of her worshippers. Or you can say, oh, then is the mother not fond of her children who are yet to realize to worship the mother? That's not the case. She is also the one that is fond of people who are yet to, or she will bring people towards, because she is fond of everybody, she'll bring them to understand her nuances, because a mother, Shakti is somebody we all have, we all need. And at various levels, we use that Shakti for various different purposes. And she will help us understand at some point on how to utilize that energy or that Shakti that we have. Shakti is not energy. It's not a direct translatable word. But she will help us understand the real essence of the Shakti. The current Shakti that we use is probably not even 1% of what is deposited or is held as deposited concentrated Shakti, like the Ghanam or Prajnana Ghanam that exists in the Mooladhara. She will help us understand and how to use that Shakti. Therefore, she is fond of Vandaru Janavatsala. She is fond of every one of us. The next nama, Vagvadini. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention Vijaya Nama is also one of the Nitya Devis, the 15 Nitya Devis that we have already talked about. So there is a Vijaya specific mantra that I mentioned. So it is in the Nitya Devi mantras. Anybody remembers those? It's also available. All the Nitya Devi pictures are available in the media folder in the forum. So if you go and look for all the moon picture, the waxing and the waning moons, and there are 15 Devis, 16 Devis, including the Shodashi, 16 Devis picture in there. So you will find a Vijaya in there as well. The next nama is Vagvadini. Vak is the word, though this Vadini is somebody who is actually speaking the word. So she is the speaker of the word. So within us, there is Vak. And we will talk about how sound has emerged and how it actually evolves in the entire universe in the macrocosm level, and also within our body as in the microcosm. Those meanings are coming very soon. So there are para, pashyanti, those are coming. But here we will just stop at the point of she is in the form of Vak, is also the one that is speaking the Vak through us. So she is Vagvadini. She is the origin of all the worlds. And thou art known in the world as the Vagvadini is what Laghustavam talks about. Vamakeshi, having beautiful hair. So it is also related to the nama Rishikesha. So when we talk about mother or father, it's the same. The two There is no distinction between them. How mother plays in the universe is differently than how Bhagavan does it in like the Paramatman does it in the universe, and how they interact with us is a little different, but the attributes are exactly the same. So Vamakeshi is having beautiful hair is one meaning. Vamaka means men. Isha is of course Lord. We all know that. Shiva, his wife is Vamakeshi according to the Devi Pranam, is the deity of Jada, one of the 68 sacred places, or the I don't know what the 68 sacred places are. I know the 51 one. I need to do some research on this. Sorry. I don't know what the 68 sacred places are. Okay, I'll get back to you on those. And she is the wife of Vamakesha. The next one is interesting. Vanhimandala Vasini. Does anybody remember what Vanhimandala Vasini could mean? I'll just give a like 20-second gap to see if anybody remembers or want to think about it.
Is it Muladhara?
Very much, exactly. So if you remember the Agni, Surya and Soma Adharas, the Kalas, and we talked about those. Agni Mandalam is in the Muladhara, Surya Mandalam is in the Anahata, and Chandra Mandalam would be in the Sahasrara. So Vanhimandala Vasini is that in the Muladhara, or that is the, and of course Vanhimandalam is also the entire like the heat that exists, Agni that exists in the entire universe. So she is also in the Paramakasha. She is in the form of fire, and she is in the fire, like just how we talked about Hiranyagarbha has Bhagavan or Parashakti being in the sun, in the core of the sun or core of the moon. She is also the core of Agni or Vanhi. Okay, the next one. Okay, next shloka. Bhaktimat Kalpalatika. Bhaktimat Kalpalatika, 2 words in that, or Bhaktimat, yeah, Bhaktimat is a 1 word. Kalpalatika, so that is one single nama, Bhaktimat Kalpalatika. The next nama is Pashupasha Vimochani. In the next line, there are 2 namas. Samhrita Shesha Pashanda is 1 nama, and Sadachara Pravartika is the other nama. Bhakti, the first Bha is Mahaprana. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Who would like to chant this one? Maybe Anita ji. You have unmuted twice, so we'll.
It's okay, Shachi. Thank you.
Bhaktimat Kalpalatika Pashupasha Vimochani.
Bhaktimat Kalpalatika Pasupasha Vimochani.
Samhrita Shesha Pashanda Sadachara Pravartika.
Samhruta Sesha Pashanda Sadachara Pravartika.
Would you like to chant the full shloka, Anita ji?
Bhaktimat Kalpalatika Pashupasha Vimochani Samhruta Sesha Pashanda Sadachara Pravartika.
Awesome.
Guruji, is it Shesha Pashanda or Pashanda?
I've heard both of the versions, Kalpana ji, and I don't think there's a difference in the meaning if we said either this or that. In my
Okay, Guruji.
Yeah, in my current book it says Pashanda, but I've also heard Pashanda.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm looking at Bhaskararaya, what he has taken. He provided so much detail for Pashupasha, and we've talked about that previously, so I won't go into as much as he is provided here, but there's like almost 4 pages of descriptions, and we've talked about Pashas in the past, all the 5 Pashas. Samhrita Sesha Pashanda is how it's taken in Bhaskararaya as well, with a Hasvam.
Okay, thank you, Guruji.
Okay. So Bhakti Mat Kalpalatika. So Kalpa Vriksham. We have heard that nama previously. So there are Chintamani, so Kamadhenu. These are the Kalpa Vriksham. These three are considered the bestowers of every desire that anybody has. So in the minds of Bhakti Mat, like anybody who prays to her, or who have her in mind, or who have bhakti in their mind for the mother, she is the kalpalata, or she is the kalpa vriksham for them, because she bestows them with all of, or she gives them, she fulfills all their desires. And we talked about in the past, it's not just in when we talk about mothers, bhakti for the mother, it is the only thing. And I'm trying to recollect the shloka. There is one shloka that says, in some Shaktayam especially provides you with both bhakti and mukti, or sorry, it's no, it's all your, not just mukti, but also your dharma, artha, and kama. In some other philosophies, like if we think about Vaishnavam, it says like your dharma, moksha are primary goals in Vaishnavam. So there is a shloka for that. I don't recollect currently. But she's the one who bestows all the desires. Just like a mother, if I ask for a chocolate, she'll give, look, no, my mother will give me a chocolate. Or if I ask for something like a book, she will also buy me a book. So it just doesn't really matter for her, because the child has asked, she will give everything that they need. Kalpa also means imperfect. So she makes perfect her imperfect devotees, is the second meaning. So she will, Lata means like somebody who is spread over. So she will embrace the devotees and move them. Like, we've talked about this analogy way back when. I will remind you again. So there's this analogy by one of the Bhashakaras in Telugu. And he talks about a child. The father is actually reading a newspaper and watching TV. The mother is in the kitchen doing some cooking, and she has like multiple things that she's trying to do, whereas the father is a little more relaxed. And the child actually just spoils his diaper, and then and he's crying. It's usually the mother who runs from the kitchen, and if she hasn't heard, then the father usually calls for the mother and says like, can you just take a look at the child is crying. And she will come running, and no matter what, she's not disgusted with the child. She just picks him up with the same love, and she just cleans him up, and then puts new clothes and puts new diapers, and then hands the child over to the father. So what the Bhashakara was saying, similarly, mother takes us, no matter how imperfect we are, whatever our character or chanting or whatever that may be, whether we can do pujas or not, she just takes all of those and makes us perfect. She will walk us on the path to perfection, so we are ready to reach Shiva. So she is the Bhaktimat Kalpalatika. The next nama, we don't have time for it, so we'll come back to Pashupasha Vimochini. And there's if we remember Pashupasha and all the descriptions that we have seen in the past, we will ignore it and we'll just move quickly to the next one. But just keep me posted if you want that detailed description, or if you have lost your notes, then we can go through that in detail next week. Any questions before we conclude? Any comments? Anybody wants to add anything?
Yeah, I was just thinking like mother is like that wheel, right? Like the center spoke of the wheel. Like if that is not there, nothing is connected with anything. Like, so she is the main, that axle of everything. And from that, like everything like spreads.
Exactly. And like, that's why I was saying, like, both are available and accessible to us so closely, even when we talk about Bhagavan and Bhagavati. But the way they interact with us is very different. And, and when we chanted Vishnu Sahasranamam and Lalita Sahasranamam last year, chanting classes, we were joking, like, some are like, father's children, and some are like more on the mother's side. So depending on like, which one you find it easy, we were joking about it, and slowly like some people were finding Lalita Sahasranamam is very easy to chant than Vishnu Sahasranamam. We would think like, Vishnu Sahasranamam has smaller namas, and it probably is easier because of all the nuances of chanting. It is a little difficult. So we were just, thinking like, oh, who are the dad's girls here? Okay, we'll conclude. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sarvam Sri Paradevatarpanamastu. Thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up
Thank you
next
so
time.
much, Sriji.
Thank you so much,
Dhanyavad.
Guru.